Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. Once again, I'm Dan Thomas, joined by Stevie Nicol, and we welcome, back from his holiday, Ali Moreno is here.
I had a good time.
Good.
Did you have a good time?
I think everybody had a lovely time. Well done, everyone. Alex Kirkland is here. Kay's in Madrid, hasn't called him yet, bit rude.
Okay.
Jan Fjortov joins us as well as we discuss what is going on in the transfer world. We talked about it yesterday, and we're going to talk about it a lot. You feel the future of Vinicius Jr. very much up in the air. Real Madrid not offering him a contract. He has said no. Vinny is back, but for how long? Says the front page of AS. Meanwhile, Marca goes, what's that, Ali? Vinny's in the squad?
El Madrid se planta con Vini. That's hard to translate.
Kind of stands firm?
Yes, that is exactly what we're going with.
There we go. Well done, Dan.
Yes.
Excellent. Right. Alex, let's start with you in the Spanish capital. Could we really be in a world where Vinny won't be playing for Real Madrid this season?
Yes, certainly people here think that's possible, Dan. They are not ruling that out as an outcome, especially given the standoff we've been experiencing for so long. As you say, we may get some movement finally, belatedly this week. We've been told that a meeting is set for tomorrow between Vinny's agents and the club. And we've also been told that in the last couple of weeks since the World Cup, the club have reached out to Vinny and slightly upped their contract offer. However, there's still a big gap between that offer and what Vinny's demands have been. And so far, we haven't had any sign of that gap being bridged. People here at Real Madrid, senior people at Real Madrid, are now, if not in favour, certainly open to the possibility of Vinny leaving this summer. They don't want him to go into the last year of his contract and risk leaving on a free. And people here also believe that Arsenal, the big name that's been mentioned the most often as a possible destination, are the most realistic destination. We know they are genuinely interested. We know that they have looked at the viability of this. We know that although Vinny's camp have denied any contact with Arsenal, other sources say there has been direct contact with Vinny's camp and with the player. So certainly people here don't say that this is all theatre. They say this is a genuine possibility that right now we cannot say for sure that he will be here in Madrid at the start of the season.
What's the big sticking point? Is it comparisons to Mbappe's contract, for example, Alex?
Yeah, I think that has been the root of a lot of it, because Mbappe came in at that point. Remember, Vinny was the established star. He's the guy that has, scored goals in 2 Champions League finals for Real Madrid. Mbappe arrives, earns more than Vinny, in a big part because of the huge signing on bonus he agreed when he arrived on a free transfer. And Vinny, understandably, would like to be on the same sort of pay scale as Mbappe. The problem is Real Madrid have never paid a signing on bonus. It's one thing, like I say, a big payment when you're coming in, but to renew your contract, which would have never paid a big kind of bonus, a renewal bonus, if you will. And so that's been a point of contention. The other big thing is the image rights. All Real Madrid players, almost every player, it's a 50-50 split between the player and the club in terms of image rights. Mbappe, one of the very few players, just a couple of players ever, who've had a variation on that deal. Mbappe, I think, gets 80% of his image rights and the club gets 20%. Again, Vinny looked at that when Mbappe came in and thought, well, I fancy a bit of that. Why does he get that kind of special treatment and I don't? So it's not just kind of on the field that we've seen difficulties with those two players kind of working as a unit. It's also had a big impact off the field. So I think that parity with Mbappe, I think, is a big part of this.
He's got a point, hasn't he, Vinny?
Well, he does, but if we just go back, 30, 40 years, and you think about how different the game is now as to what it was back then, the fact that players now have access to information like, well, hold on, he's 50-50, he's 80-20, I'm 50-50. I don't know how Jan and Stevie feel about it, but I think we all knew who was making money in the team, but none of us really had access to the information of, well, this guy's got it all, and I don't have enough. Now that this information is readily available, and who makes information readily available, it's also a part of the conversation, because who does this benefit? The fact that you put out this sort of information and then you say, well, this guy's not getting, or I'm not getting what I should be getting, and that guy over there, who, by the way, hasn't been the player that we thought he was going to be for us, and I've been the guy carrying this team, and I'm not making as much as he is, it creates division. It certainly does. And so we ask ourselves, how do these players not get along on the field? Well, part of the reason they don't get along on the field is because off the field, there are concerns. There are concerns in that I should be getting what he has. I earn my place in this team, and I earn a salary that is compatible and comparable to what that guy is getting. And if he's getting 80-20, I should be getting 80-20. And it's the old conversation about when is it too many stars with too much power in the same team. But I think we've reached that point with Real Madrid, in which they haven't been able, and when I say they, I really mean Vini, because I think Mbappe just goes through this and say, well, I just worked out my contract the way I wanted to work out my contract. I got my share the way I wanted my share. So this has nothing to do with me. Real Madrid was willing to pay that to me. My agent worked it out, and I'm in a position in which I accepted it, and we're good. Vini's the one that's saying, well, that's mine. That should be mine. And that is the way that I think Vini has played alongside Mbappe. When Mbappe hasn't been on the field, Vini has been great. When they played together, neither one of them have been great. And so how, if you're Real Madrid, you make a decision that is best for the team? And if indeed you're making a decision that is best for the team, then you start thinking really about the possibility that perhaps it's best to move on from one of them. And you're not going to move on from Mbappe, and so it makes sense to bank on Vini. But from the outside looking in, it is amazing to me that we're actually having this conversation. That we're realistically having this conversation in which you're saying you have two of the best players in the world and that we can figure out both on the field and now off the field.
The mindset of the player today in terms of the money is completely and utterly different from certainly when I played. You know, when I played it was, I don't know what everybody's getting. We know where you are on the totem pole. The money now has gotten so out of control that it's not really about the money anymore. It's about the ego of getting the same as somebody else. That's probably just the straightforward, simplest way to put it. They've got so much money now that it's actually not about the money. It's about the status. It's about, I need to be up at the top of the totem pole now. And so then it really doesn't matter anymore. So now Vinny probably finds himself in a position where every other person almost on the planet would take 350 grand a week, tax-free, and they'd be like, give me the pen. Mm-hmm. He's not interested anymore. Because somebody else is on maybe 50, 60, 100 more, that's all that matters now. And so that means that his ego is driving what he wants. And he's going to maybe find himself in a position where he's going to end up leaving Real Madrid, even though he maybe doesn't want to, but his ego won't let him. His ego won't let him accept so much more or so much less than Mbappe's getting. And that is just in a ridiculous place to be in.
Yeah, and what are your thoughts on this?
Well, my thought is that, yes, with the boys, it's changed a lot. I mean, back in the days when I played in England, we had the players' organization, PFA, told us, you're going there, you're probably going to be there. And he said, OK, I go there. If you say that, you know the wages, and you do that. What I'm thinking of when I've seen the debates the last days, week, is that these have so big consequences for other clubs. For example, we will talk about Bayern Munich later. If Winnie goes, they will probably go after Olise at Bayern Munich. What about Arsenal? Are they just a card that is played now to get him a better contract at Real Madrid? And so there is a lot of things going on. And to Stevie's point, the players, but these players also are now big companies. This is a big company, Real Madrid, who tried to get a deal with a big company called Vini Jr. He have probably 15, 20 people in his entourage just working for him. So we can say that the player don't know what to do. He will probably have so many different people talking in his ear. And also the thing is that when you play with Real Madrid, and I know that from the Haaland process, I know that from Bellingham process, when they felt, when you come to Real Madrid, what do you do after Real Madrid? So Bellingham went there, Erling went to Manchester City, will probably end up in Spain at some stage. But still, you are there, you're at a big club, and to be honest, I mean, money can't buy your love. I mean, you have... No, I'm saying that they probably said that about the small wages we had back in the days as well. You should just be happy to play in the Premiership. But nowadays, this is not between club and players anymore. This is between big companies and a company called the Winnie Junior Shareholding Company.
I would just say, like, if you're a Real Madrid fan right now, and you're sitting at home and you're listening to these reports and you're thinking that Vini could potentially walk away, that he may be going elsewhere, where are you with this? Are you really on board that Kylian Mbappe is the guy that is going to take us to wherever we need to go? Is he really the guy? Do we trust him? Because when things were going south last season, this guy was not there for you. When things were early on, were going in a positive way, and it felt like, oh, Xabi Alonso's bringing something different, and he was scoring goals, but then he started disappearing. And when it was sort of money-making time, when it was time to decide what Real Madrid were going to be and what their season was going to be, he was not there. And when I say he wasn't there, he was at a yacht with his girlfriend. So he wasn't there. So when Tchouaméni's punching out Valverde, Mbappe and the leadership wasn't there. And so you're thinking, if you're a Real Madrid fan, you're thinking, man, I feel like Vini is more important for our club than this guy is. But this guy is already bigger than anything else that Real Madrid has in Kylian Mbappe. I think you have to be conflicted if you're a Real Madrid fan in saying if the choice is Mbappe or Vini, that you just allow Vini to walk out the door. That doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense.
Alex, where are the fans in that debate?
Yeah, I think opinions divided. I think there has been a lot of frustration with Vini over the last 2 seasons, really, where his performance level has dropped. He's been inconsistent. What happened with Xabi Alonso, mentioned there, is a big part of it as well. He was one of the big players in the dressing room who was against Xabi Alonso, was seen as sort of having contributed to him being forced out. The fans weren't happy about that. Remember, he was booed by the fans at the Bernabeu more than once last season. Other fans, I think, do remember, like I said, this is the guy that's won us stuff. This is the guy that has scored in 2 Champions League finals. In 22 and 24, and Mbappe hasn't done that. So I think opinion is divided. I think that some people would blame him if he walked away and said he was chasing the money. I think some people would blame the club for not going the extra mile to make sure they hang on to him. So I think there's diverse opinion.
Of course, Alex, Real Madrid had no representatives in that Spanish squad for the World Cup win, so they're going to get some in. Rodri, tell me about it.
Yeah, and of course they got Marc Cucurella just before the tournament, didn't they, to make sure they had one Spain player at least in the squad. Rodri, we understand is happening. We understand the delay has been because City have wanted to get a player in before they let Rodri go, but that essentially the deal is either done or close to being done because Rodri only wants to go to one club, and that is Real Madrid. All the talk in recent days of, Barca might be interested or keeping an eye on things. No, Rodri wants to play for Real Madrid. So we understand that deal is close to being done. The other one, of course, is Yan Diomande, and we understand that deal is done and may be made official in the next day or so after sort of some haggling between the 2 clubs, Madrid and Leipzig, over the details over the last week or so. So that's 2 more players, 2 big name players that are coming in to Real Madrid in the next week or so, I guess.
It's a big summer of transition at City, Jan. Wouldn't you want a leader like Rodri to be at the club?
That philosophy they had under Pep, when Pep was like the big professor, the big successful professor, the big coach, said, if they don't want to play here, they're going to leave. Maresco will say, totally opposite. I need my players. I need a good start. I need Rodri here. He is the brain of this team. So a Pep would have probably said, yeah, if Rodri want to leave, I doubt that one. I could be wrong. I doubt that they will let Rodri go now in this unbelievable decisive period after Pep Guardiola. We've seen at the club with Sir Alex, we've seen in Werder Bremen back in the days with Otto Rehagel, for those of you who know that clubs can disappear. And we've seen that at Liverpool as well, Steve. I won't get into that. But I would like to see to think that Manchester City will be desperate to keep Rodri, and then we'll see how long they can stick to it. I think Rodri is a very loyal player. If they tell him that he's going to stay that year, he's gonna stay there. In terms of Diomande, I see there are some football experts around the world saying that he is that is fixed. It's not fixed. Schäfer von Leipzig said, was it yesterday? We are negotiating, but we're still not there. Everybody thinks that it's likely that he will arrive at Real Madrid, and of course that would be a great signing for them.
How devastating would it be for Manchester City if Rodri left?
I mean, you're taking what was critical to the success of Spain in the World Cup. You're taking that piece away from Manchester City, and you're taking experience, you're taking leadership, you're taking all the things that he brings, and you're taking a high level of play, which we hadn't seen from Rodri most of the season last year, but we saw it in the World Cup, and you imagine that he carries that onto this season.
Is there an argument to say, yeah, it's fine to do it over a short period, like the World Cup, as opposed to 38 games in the Premier League?
And that would be a very good argument to make, but when the guy walks into the facility with the golden ball, like, hey, it's hard to just kind of go, it's good because he lasted 6 weeks. It's just hard, and I think it's something that you touched upon there initially. In a period of transition, you need some people that know, hey, this is what we want to do, this is where we want to get, and this is how we're going to get there. I've been there with the club, I've been there with the national team. I know what this feels like, I know what this smells like. Let me be part of this, or at least if you're the club, you would want him to be part of the process for the now. Perhaps not for the future, but for the now. Once you get your team settled, then you start making decisions on Rodri. I just don't think that you allow this amount of experience to walk out the door. And it's not only him. Bernardo Silva is already gone. So you're talking about players that have been really important to this club, and you're just allowing that experience to walk out, and you're kind of going, okay, how much is too much? This may be too much.
It did feel as though last year, though, it was kind of, it could be time to move on, because he was struggling. And he turns around and has a fantastic 8 weeks. But guess what? He needs an operation. So I'm not so sure that Man City are absolutely going to be turning around to him and saying, particularly after what he's done for them, and saying, you're not going. I don't see it. I get the feeling that it's time to move on. And they've just brought Anderson in. And yes, he hasn't been in the building long. And all the other good things that Rodri would add to City in and around the stadium and the building and the training. I just feel as though it's time to move on with Rodri.
In terms of the domino effect of the, and I think Jan was talking about it, how it changes for teams around the world, what decisions that are made by Real Madrid or Manchester City. If indeed Jan Diomande is going to Real Madrid, well, that opens the path for Real Madrid to feel a whole lot better about moving on from Vini. Not the same level of player, at least not at this point in his career, but it does. If you are sitting in a boardroom and you're trying to think about the possibilities for Real Madrid, and you're in some way trying to explain to yourself, hey, why does moving away from Vini make sense? Bringing Diomande into the locker room and into the building, it's one way of saying, okay, we have this guy, we can get the money for that guy, and then we can go for Michael Olise, and now all of a sudden your argument gets a whole lot stronger. I'm just saying that these things are connected.
Alex, keep Sid low, locked in a box, and you can keep talking about all this over the next few days. Are you on holiday, mate, or is that you counting down now to start the season, which of course is live exclusive on ESPN Plus?
I've been back at work for a while.
All right. We were giving off that, Alex. Not our fault. How do you say passive-aggressive in Spanish?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Alex. Much appreciated. Just a reminder to keep up to date with all the latest transfer news. There's going to be a lot, isn't there, over the next few weeks. Be sure to check out Transfer Talk over on the website. We don't have the chance, really, to talk to Jan about the aftermath of Norway's performance in the World Cup, particularly Erling Haaland, who we knew, obviously we know as soccer fans, but his brand just seemed to grow exponentially during the tournament. We saw the drumming, we saw the goals, we saw the raccoon. So many talking points about Haaland, where he very much put his name amongst the likes of Mbappe and Bellingham and the big stars that we knew they were going to be going into the tournament, Jan. Just talk us through a little bit of how brand Haaland has now become very much a global brand.
Yeah, I think you said it right there. He's going from being an international superstar in football to now be a global brand. And the good thing about him is doing everything that is authentic. This is just what he do. He's not playing any games, and you see that. Having said that, I think that is going to be a big challenge for him now when you start over the season again. I guess he started this week with Manchester City. He's not traveling with the team to Asia, but he'll probably start training again. After the World Cup, went straight to south of Europe. There were fashion shows, there were paparazzi, there were parties, and all, and he deserved that. I think you should get that steam out. But again, when you start now Monday, The next time you will have is end of May. And it's going to be interesting because I've seen this kid taking every challenge as it comes when going from Norway to Salzburg, develop himself into a good prospect, a great talent that Dortmund took on. He came there, took another steps there into Champions League. Well, he scored for Salzburg, of course, in the Champions League, with Dortmund being excellent there. Take another step for Manchester City now, and you felt like the finale for him now was to take his country to a World Cup and being on that stage. So it's going to be interesting now to see how we react on the next challenge or the next step of his career. He's 26 now. He's mature. You can see that he take on any challenge. But always sometimes, and we've said that many times on this show, I don't like it when people say he is a machine, because he's a human being, and that makes him even more impressive. But we just now have to see how all these things going from everything being positive, and now people will look after everything in and around his life and everything. He got a great girlfriend, great family, great team in and around him. But we've seen people before that you're still human beings, and you have to find that energy again when you play Plymouth away in the League Cup.
That's very true. Jan, what's interesting is that when you speak to fans who weren't necessarily supporters of soccer going into this tournament in this country, they talk about Erling Haaland, and they talk about the Norwegian fans. They talk about the Scottish fans and the Norwegian row as well. I'm just wondering, as a whole, what an impact this tournament had on just the country and its attitude to soccer overall.
Well, good question, because when you see the rowers, don't forget, we have 5 million people in our country, and a part of our identity is sport. Of course, being the skiers, but the last years we had the golf, we have tennis, we have athletics, and now when we go to the World Cup and doing this Viking thing, I just feel sorry for the Danish guys, because they had some of the greatest kings in the Viking time, but they were from Denmark, and now we took them away. But it's giving us a proudness. It's giving us a brand awareness, to use a phrase like that we are very, very proud of. And you just see, and when you see all the other matters into sports politics, football politics now, that is the good thing that can come out of something like that. Because that was not a guy that came up with an idea to earn all those kind of money. It just came up because they wanted enthusiasm, they wanted energy, they wanted engagement, and we have to say, it helps to win football games as well.
Yes, yeah, most definitely. Very entertaining. Great World Cup overall, I think, for most. But inevitably, someone wants to come along and ruin it all, and it's the man who's in charge of FIFA, Infantino. It's a big story that's been developing over the last week. It looks like it's dead now, of course, his idea to sell off part of the World Cup to investors. It's the first time you've been on, Ali, since all this has broken and this story has developed. I'm just wondering your opinion on it overall.
Yeah, so I'm not going to go to World Cups from years past, just this past World Cup. And this was run by FIFA, without outside investors, run by FIFA. And even run by FIFA, the tournament, because it is the nature of the tournament itself, has controversy all over it. Why was Messi not thrown out against Algeria? Is FIFA protecting Lionel Messi? What is this following Balogun situation? The suspension of the suspension and the red card. Was there a phone call from Donald Trump? Was there no phone call? Was there involvement? Why is there preferential treatment for the United States? And this is just one tournament, one World Cup that creates controversy on its own. And so you call into question the integrity of the tournament. And it's FIFA running it by itself. Imagine if it was actually multiple investors, shareholders that have a vested interest in the World Cup. Every single call would be called into question, and the integrity of the whole tournament would be called into question because of the interest of these shareholders. Because if we go into a boardroom, let's say that all four of us go into business together, and we go into a boardroom.
We're including him.
We're including Stevie. I know it's a questionable decision. But let's assume that we're all in business together and we're having a board meeting. We all, because we have vested interest, because we have put money into it, we all want to have a say as to how this business is run. Because we want our money to be represented and our decisions to represent that money that we have vested into this venture, right? It's the same thing at the FIFA level. If you have multiple shareholders, they're all going to want to pull their way. They all want to have influence into how the tournament is run. They all want to have a say as to how things are going to be done. And so it's no longer FIFA's tournament. It's no longer the people's tournament. It's the shareholders. And by the shareholders, I mean the limited number of people that actually are able to enter that boardroom. It really calls for all sorts of doubt in terms of what the integrity of a potential tournament would be. Because at the forefront of all of this is the interest of the people who are running the tournament. And those people have vested money. And when you include money into it, you're going to pull your way, not somebody else's way.
So, Ali, sorry, are you for or against this idea?
I believe I'm against it, Dan. I'm against it.
Yeah, but now, but listen, this didn't start. It didn't start today. It didn't start with this idea from Infantino that he apparently did all on his own with some friends. This started with a Avalanche. This started with Sepp Blatter. This is lack of transparency. This lack of democracy that is going around. But there is one thing that is quite general all around the world. You can't sell things you don't own. I mean, that is rule number one. And they don't own football. So that is number one. But there is another thing now. We're seeing all flying over the social media. We're seeing all condemning Infantino. Where were they a year ago? Where were they 6 months ago? Money in football? No. Are there money in football? We never heard about that before. I mean, where were they? Where were there? Are 211 football associations at FIFA. 200 of them sent a letter of support of Infantino just some weeks, months ago. There were only few standing up for this principle. I mean, the worst thing you can do in a democracy is indifference. To keep yourself quiet. England supported Infantino. Germany supported Infantino. France supported Infantino. So there is a lot of things going on now. But there's going to be a general thing. You can't sell that thing you don't own. And, you know, we talk about democracy all the time. One nation, one vote. So everybody thinks that Infantino is gone now. He will find some way to get that 106 associations going for him. I'm reading a book now about Vikings. You know, the Vikings 1,000 years ago, they did the same. They were bribing the small ones to get what they wanted because they got more people supporting them. So this was a scandal, and I just hope that football can save itself. For the moment, the sponsor of our game, when they say we don't want to be a part of it, I don't care about the big boys or girls in football. What I'm worried about is the brand, the reputation of football, the grassroots football, when people see this scandal, this theater of drama that we've seen the last couple of weeks.
Bayern Munich, third favourites to win the Champions League. PSG are the favourites to defend their title and win 3 in a row. Arsenal coming in at second. I don't think any particular surprise there, apart from Liverpool 9-1, but we've had enough of Liverpool.
Wow.
Jan, where do we stand on Bayern, what they've done this summer, and expectations going into the start of the new season?
They got Sabri, the striker from PSV. They took him quite early, which was good for them. The Moroccan striker who did well at the World Cup. Got Brown from Eintracht Frankfurt, putting pressure on Davies. They want to sell Davies, apparently. Problem is, how do you sell a guy with an enormous wage and injury? That is a hard sell. I mean, you can do a FIFA, you can sell something you don't own, but they have to sell this guy. So the big thing for them now, and we talked about it earlier, is to keep Olise. I somehow got a feeling that the last word is not said in that story. Olise has a long-term contract. There is no clause in his contract, so he has to stay. But I have a funny feeling that something will happen. Imagine you being in that French dressing room, talking to Mbappé every night, and then you come out, yeah, I can play with Brown. I can play with some young kids from Munich. That is no problem. We'll see. We could have a surprise there. The big challenge for Max Eberl at the moment is that he has given all his players unbelievable wages. And he has been told to sell players. And you have to get our squad less expensive, and we need lower numbers. And you saw today, I mean, that team they sent out today, there's the starting 11 today, a lot of young kids, but it's a part of the philosophy that they want to integrate more players, the Leonard Carl, with Bischoff, that we do know. And then last but not least, the Harry Kane story. Harry Kane has a clause, but he had to activate that in a special date, so he will be there. Now it's a matter of, will they extend his contract for another couple of years to stay in Munich? And you somehow got a feeling that Harry Kane will stay at Bayern with the frequency of goals that he's scoring there, and it seems that he has a good time there.
He can't surely replicate what he did last season, though.
I think he's going to score a bunch of goals.
Why wouldn't he?
Because he's a bit older.
That's it.
Yeah.
Is that all you got?
That's all I got.
He's going to get chances. He's going to get just as many chances.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to think, other than injury, why he wouldn't do it. If he stays fit, then you couldn't bet against on him. Maybe not getting the exact number he's got, but pretty close to it.
I have to say, Bayern Munich, towards the end of last season, they paid the price for not having enough squad depth.
Okay.
And it's a conversation that I think Jan just alluded to there, that you're still concerned about the depth of this team. I think you're willing to accept that from players 1 to 13, 14, Bayern Munich is among the best in Europe. But then you get beyond that and you start running out of options if you're Vincent Kompany. And I think some of that was shown against PSG in that second leg, in which the team seemed to be stuck and they didn't know where to turn. Now, to be fair to Bayern Munich and Vincent Kompany, Serge Gnabry was injured and Leonard Carl had injury concerns as well, and so you kind of run out of options. But it's just two names that I just mentioned, they're out of the picture, and you're kind of going, well, that's it. We're just going to have to ride with these guys that are out on the field. They're also, and if you're making an argument for Bayern Munich, they're also going to get a much better version, allegedly, of Jamal Musiala, who we assume would be fully recovered from his broken leg. And that, I think, is a boost for Bayern Munich. But I still believe that the depth of this team is not quite there as compared to, say, PSG or as compared to Arsenal. And those are the teams that we're talking about at the very top of European football at this point. We imagine that Barcelona will be better. We imagine that Real Madrid will be better. And so then you start questioning, is the window closing for this group of Bayern Munich? And that I think touches on your point. Harry Kane will score a bunch of goals. Will he score enough when Bayern Munich needs those goals the most in Champions League in the latter stages of the competition?
Semi-finalists?
You two have got me changing my mind here. I was just giving Dan the old look about Harry Kane, but, you know, Ali's right about 1 to 14. But if Jan's right as well, and they have to sell, and they're going to use young guys, then they're not going to be as good. They're not going to be as dominant. And Harry Kane's not going to get as many chances. So actually, you might have been asking the right question.
Hey, good job, Dan.
I think I've just talked myself into it. Yeah, Harry Kane's not going to score as many goals as he did last year. Yeah, for those reasons.
No, Jan, that's fine. I'm right. Moving on.
All right, you're right. Good question. Good question.
Go on, Jan.
No. I just want to say that, I mean, Stevie, you played with some of the best. You played with Ian Rush. You know, when people like that get their service, they will score goals. And he's a very intelligent striker, so he will. And Bayern create a lot of goals. I think when you're alluding to the Champions League semi-finalists, can they go all the way? And we saw the odds there. I think one of the problems, one of the diseases in German football, and we saw that during the World Cup, there's a load of players who are overestimated by us. We think they are, or they think themselves that they are so good. There is a couple of three at Bayern Munich as well that they say in German, they're top-notch player. And when you play against the biggest team in the world, PSG, the Arsenal of this world, Barcelona, Real Madrid, you can count 3, 4, 5, 6 players in their team that are superstars. I don't see that at Bayern. As for Musiala, I think he will be fit from his injury soon, but how long will it take him to get that balance again, that way of playing, that body language that we used to love for Jamal Musiala? So this is going to be a very, very exciting time for him as well. And Leonard Carl was out with injury as well. How long will it take him to come back? So, yeah. But Harry Kane will end up with 40 goals in the league anyway.
Welcome to the latest edition of Extra Time. Jan and Ali are on for the first time since their holidays. Where did you go, Jan? Did you do anything special?
I'm in the middle of my holiday.
Nice.
I did World Cup, and then I'm gonna now have holiday till the Premier League starts. But I had a quick trip to Vienna this weekend, and I worked with 2 legends of Austrian football. Andy Herzog, remember him playing left number 10 at Werder Bremen, and then the one and only Hans Krankel.
Oh, then what were you doing there?
I just did a Rapid Vienna against Altach in our
Doesn't
stadium
stop,
in
Jan.
Vienna.
Loves it.
Andy Herzog was my teammate with the LA Galaxy.
Yeah.
There you go. There you are.
Yeah,
And Ali, what about
was.
yourself? What did you do for your holiday?
I went to a beach house in Florida, just south of St. Augustine.
Wow.
Friends invited us over.
Right up the street, isn't it?
We had the big decision to make was, do we go to the pool in the backyard or do we go to the beach? You know, difficult decisions that you get to make on vacation. And then because
Did
I'm
you socialise with people at the house?
I did. I'm very friendly. Very friendly.
Wow.
My social life, Dan. And then because I'm a company man, I went to Disney for a few days.
Oh, nice one. Did you do all 4?
Yeah, I went to all 4 parks. Yes,
Nice.
absolutely.
Very good. Yeah. Lovely. Who finishes higher, Stevie? Chelsea, Spurs or Liverpool?
Chelsea.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll go Chelsea.
Nah.
Yep.
No.
Oh no.
Liverpool.
How can you say Liverpool, yeah?
All right, okay.
Give me something to grab onto.
I mean, you've been in holiday and you come back and you start all over with Liverpool again. Where did you go for your holiday? Your backyard?
Nowhere. Somebody had to stay here.
Iraola will get this team going. Liverpool will do well.
What about? But they haven't got a team
They
yet.
haven't got a team.
They don't get a team.
No.
Because they lost the Salah, who was not playing last season. You're talking about him, or what were you talking about?
Defenders, I think, is an issue.
Right. Who's playing right back? Slobosly?
Yeah, they will find a right back.
Oh, the fuck, sorry, yeah, fine one. Who's playing centre half with Van Dijk?
All right.
Oh, they'll find one. It's a
Who's playing?
There's a lot of searching going on. So a lot of positivity.
You know, Stevie is not buying it when he starts leaning.
Yeah,
leaning
I know.
further
No,
forward,
yeah.
further
So
forward.
now-
You say Chelsea, you say Liverpool.
Yes.
Ali?
Say put Chelsea up.
Just because Stevie's here, go on, Liverpool.
There we go. What's your issue with Chelsea, Jan?
I have no issue with Chelsea. I just think that when Liverpool fans are starting before they even started anything, they say they're going down. Then I got a
but Andy
bad feeling.
The Liverpool echoes on it. don't
Chelsea's got no Europe. Chelsea's got 1 game a week. And we saw
yeah.
how that works with Man United. Man United were no great team last year, but they were playing
they're
once a
great
week,
team.
and they won the majority of the games because of it.
Yeah.
Liverpool don't have an
Come
11
on,
yet.
Liverpool. Make
They're in
that
all these
former
competitions,
Liverpool player wrong.
and Chelsea. Seriously.
How can you?
Don't
Which
get- I
date
got- I
is it
hope I'm
today?
wrong.
Is it the 4th of August?
Nay.
And Liverpool are gone.
Nay. Speaking of gone, where do you think Julian Nagelsmann will go next?
Oh, you asked the right man. I told him where to go in January, and I was right. I mean, he did everything wrong. I think that it's a good question because I think that he has lost that gloria that everybody gave him.
Yeah.
I think that to be a top manager, a top coach, you also have to be a top leader working with people. And this catastrophe that happened to Germany, that was expected. I mean, we all knew that, or some of us knew, that was going to happen when he saw his man management. So I think that he should get a great book and put himself in Central Park or whatever,
Lovely.
like Guardiola did that Sabbath year, and just read about management and leadership. And then he suddenly be back.
But that's interesting. Can you learn that, though? You can learn tactics, but can you learn man management?
You can learn to be humble, Dan. That's what you can learn.
Yeah.
You can learn that you were not the Christopher Columbus of football, or I would say Leif Erikson, who came there 500 years earlier. But that you can learn. You can't learn it through courses. But Julian Nagelsmann, to be fair to him, he did a good job at RB Leipzig. He started well at Bayern, but how he took his role as a leader for the German national team, that is not leadership level, top-notch clubs in Europe.
I have a question for you, Stevie.
Yeah.
Who's more overrated as a manager? Julian Nagelsmann or Roberto Martinez?
I'd probably go with Nagelsmann.
Right.
I'd probably go with Nagelsmann. I mean,
I wouldn't have either, is what I'm saying.
no, well,
Talk to me about man management,
Nagelsmann.
because this is one of your. This is like you speak to any of your former players,
Yeah.
and you had that magic touch with them. In that sense, is it something you can learn?
I'm not so sure about that. I think there's certain things that you have to have that naturally come out, and one of them is a personality, and it doesn't. You know, was it Magath? The personality he had was an absolute shocker, but it got results though. And so you don't always have to be like Klopp or be the nice guy. You can be like a Felix Magath and everybody's scared of you. And like Fergie got all these results. People were scared of Fergie. If they saw Fergie coming down the corridor, they would turn and go the other way just to avoid, just in case he might shout at them or even say something to them. And Nagelsmann looks to me, Jan, from the outside, as though he doesn't have a personality. I mean,
Well, I think now, you know, I think he has a personality, but I think he creates a personality that doesn't fit
So
to
it's a
him.
false one he's got, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
there you
Because
go.
I mean, and I've said it, and I say it, I repeat myself, but sometimes we say a manager has lost the dressing room. But the main thing, and we know that, guys, you have to win the dressing room. You have to get in there and say, listen, this is what I do. So Jurgen Klopp now starting as a German national coach, he owns the moment he signed the contract, he owned the dressing room. That's just how it is. So if you're not that kind of guy, at least you have to be humble. At least you have to treat Undav well when he score a goal and don't say, no, that was just a lucky hit. Or you would tell Neuer, you won't play, or you will play, or you will play with a 39-year-old at that time, and those kind of things. So I think that the main thing for a leader is to be authentic. And like Dan was alluding to, Steve, what you did, I mean, everybody speak about you were so good at man management. And I rather have a leader, a coach that is good at man management, that know how the 6 gonna be compared with the number 8, you know?
Can I speak to the fact of what Stevie was known for in MLS? Players talk and players communicate, and Stevie won't say this, but I will. He was known for players loving to play for him. And you can't say that about every manager. In fact, most managers you don't say that about. And I think even now, if you were to run into players that played for Stevie, they'll look back to that as a great experience. And again, that doesn't happen with most managers. So because of Stevie, because of Paul, because of the relationship that they had, because how they handle and how they communicated, it made a difference in those players' career to the point to where a lot of those players, and again, Stevie won't say this and he won't take credit for this, a lot of those players, after they've retired, they've gone on to do great things too. And some of that is individual drive, but some of that has to do with the fact that there are certain principles that Stevie put forward. That in itself, I think, is something that a manager takes for granted. Stevie did not. He was a great manager in MLS.
Stevie, back in your day, and most of Jan's day, there was really no chance.
You want a hug? I'll give you a hug, because
No,
I was feeling...
No, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good, Ali. No, I feel really good after that. Thank you.
Back in your day, Stevie, there was really no transfer deadline and absolutely no social media to drive transfer talk. Did you even hear transfer rumours, or did they just come out of the blue?
If there was one thing Liverpool, and Liverpool's famous for a lot of things, but the one thing they were famous for was you didn't know until you walked into the dressing room and somebody was sat next to you.
Right, really?
That's how it used to be at Liverpool. None of this, oh, he's going here and he's going there, and they were talking to him. I mean,
what about when like Ian Rush went to Juventus? Did you know that was going to happen? Was there any?
No.
Wow.
No, because Rushy obviously would keep his trap shut.
Yeah.
But no, not at all. No, nothing. There was no leaks. Nobody was talking out of school. Peter Robinson and the board up there kept absolutely everything tight, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be, and it's the best way for everybody. Really is.
Well, we would struggle on this show. Stevie was a great man manager. Not this again.
To be fair, we played in a time where there was no Wi-Fi. Stevie played in a time where there was no electricity. So how could they do? How could they do that?
That's true.
I would just a quick story. When I went from Sheffield United to Barnsley, played Bury away Championship. And our secretary came into the dressing room. I was in the shower, and he said, Jan, we have agreed a fee with Barnsley. And they were in the Premier League then. And I said, okay. And he said, can you speak to the manager tomorrow? Yeah, I can. And then he turned around, and I said, I want all my money. And he turned around and said, yes. So that was done in 2 minutes. So
brilliant.
There was no here we go.
But like, speaking of here we go, Ali, that was never on the cards in the MLS really at all, because it was all about trades, wasn't it? This was something that I never knew about. Obviously, we don't know, it doesn't really happen in Europe, but here in the
States...
Too
many people knew about everything.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and you have, as a player, zero control. Zero say.
Right.
You just... One day you get a phone call or a text message. I mean...
You're going.
And what do you mean? I just signed a new deal here. Well, it's not here. You signed a new deal with MLS, and that deal just goes...
Your contract's with MLS.
Yeah. So your contract goes with you wherever you go. So we're just moving you literally like pieces. You go from here to there. And who decided that? Well, not me. Wow. You get the communication. In best cases, you get the communication directly from the coach of the team that is trading you, but that doesn't always happen. Sometimes you get the communication from your agent, or you find out. And when I was, this is another thing that people from other places in the world may not be familiar with. When there was expansion in MLS, you protected a certain amount of players, and for different reasons, you didn't end up protecting older guys or more expensive guys because you didn't think that a new expansion team was going to take on older guys or expensive guys. In my sort of last interview with the Columbus Crew, after we finished our season, there wasn't really any conversation in regards to what was going to happen with who was going to be protected or not. There wasn't any hint given that I may not be protected. I found out that I wasn't being protected because I saw it in the newspaper.
Wow.
And not only did
newspaper, ladies and gentlemen, something that used to be printed daily.
Yes. So I see the report in the newspaper, and then I get a phone call from the Philadelphia Union and the manager at the time, Philadelphia Union, about the possibility of being selected in the expansion draft. I never heard from the Columbus Crew directly, a team that I had won a championship just a year before, and had scored a goal in the MLS Cup, and I've been the leading goal scorer for that team. Nobody said anything to me. I had a meeting with the manager ahead of that happening. He never mentioned it as a possibility. The GM never reached out. Mm-hmm. I ended up finding out because of the newspaper and because of a phone call from the next team, not my old team. So I have great sympathy for the players that sort of go through this sort of things in which you have no control. I have very little sympathy with players today in which you get all these things in terms of option. Is this team? Is that team? Is that team? You see it coming and you have an input. But we don't get an input, or we didn't get an input in MLS. Now things have changed a little bit, but back then we didn't get an input. You were just moved and you were told you were going.
But I think it's interesting because now we talked about in the show about Vinny Jr. I mean, that is not a typical thing. And when you see it in England, you have 4 professional divisions, and these kind of talks. I mean, now we talk about Premiership. Now they may be down to Championship. There is a lot of money as well, and some big spenders also in League One. But I can still remember that we were talking about different options when we also had a deadline day. We were not that old. We had a deadline day, and when the deadline day came closer, there was always a possibility. So as a player, you would say to your wife, well, let's see what's happening now the last couple of days before the deadline day. And somehow they managed to make all deals the last hours before that 5 o'clock when the last fax had to come. And I remember I went to Middlesbrough. I think that was done 4:30. There was a guy called Phil Whelan. I remember he came from Ipswich, a defender, and his fax didn't come through. So he couldn't play. This was in March, I think, the deadline day. And he couldn't play the rest of the season. So we were still discussing it, but it was more like text TV for those we could see on page BBC who would be linked to whom.
Yeah, and what's it like as a father seeing your son kind of go through? Because obviously Marcus played, didn't he, like the lower leagues, trying to scramble. That must be such a frustrating time as a parent to see kind of your son kind of go through that.
Yeah, I remember after he went to this Duke thing. He played a Duke, and then he was picked by Seattle Sounders.
Yep.
Yeah, and I was sitting here, not far from here, and I said, and Marcus said, yeah, I've been picked. I was second pick for Duke, and I said, and I had no clue what was that all about, and I had to put myself into the rules and go in there and understand what was that going on, and I understood that the chances were not big, but it was still a big praise for him as a player, good for him to take further on his career. And when he then came to Scotland, it was like back to the 90s again, because it was not the big money, and he went to
That's just Scotland in general.
He was in my team. He was playing in my team.
Yeah, I know. He played in your team. And when I visited him there, I felt like it was back in the 90s. But as you were saying, you were nervous because we forget that when people are saying that footballers have a great life, but we only see the guys who are in a private jet with here we go. But this is the professional. This is their life. They have mortgages. They have a car that needs to be paid. A couple of kids. And you just wait what will happen. And the story Al is telling, that I can't imagine that USA is not a small country. I mean, you can be turned all over the continent, so to say, in one phone call.
I could never get my head around that. You know, somebody that was in your squad, that was in your team, maybe didn't play, and you don't have the gumption to call them and tell them what's happening, that you're gone. I just could never get my head around that. I mean, I don't get it. There was way too many coaches back then who couldn't wait to be talking to the signing who was coming. They're all over it, you know, and it's all pictures and death and that. But as soon as you had to do something that wasn't the best part of your job, well, you got to man up, and you don't be a coward. You know, you can't always have it all the way you want. It really irritated me, the amount of times that guys would come to us and they would be the same, and nobody spoke to them. I mean, and basically what it does is they actually arrive at your place not happy.
Yeah.
Not happy at all, because they've just been dumped.
Sure.
Basically.
Yeah, without an explanation.
Can I just add one thing though about, you were saying earlier about the way Liverpool did things? And people will probably go, how come though? Somebody must have said something. How come they didn't find it? Well, Liverpool, when they went to watch somebody, they didn't even get comp tickets. They bought tickets.
Right.
They would actually go and queue up and buy a ticket and go into the game. So nobody would know. Nobody would have a clue they were even there.
Glasses and a fake moustache.
Oh, big moustache, big hooter, the whole thing.
Jan, couple of questions left. Over under 2 years before Haaland leaves Manchester City for either Barcelona or Real Madrid. How long will he be at City for, Jan? What's your money on?
Interesting season. I start there. Interesting season with Maresca, a new coach. Having said that, when Erling Haaland did this evaluation program that he did with all clubs, which impressed me a lot when we made a documentary about him, one of the things that I was most surprised of was that he didn't put the coach in as one of the major things. Because they were always thinking about, well, the coach could leave. And when he went to Salzburg, Marco Rose was there, and he just left for Germany. Marco Rose is now in Bournemouth, by the as you know. And the same thing happened now with Manchester City. I think that I think that he won't play for Manchester City the rest of his career. I think that he will end up in Spain at one stage, but I think it will depend how things will develop with Maresca, because when you have the stature now with Erling Haaland, he's won the treble, he's been top scorer all the time, winning trophies for Manchester United, Manchester City. You have to win titles. You have to be a part of a team that get trophies. And as long as Manchester City do that, I don't think that they will think of leaving them.
Final question, Ali, on a scale from 1 to 10, how much did you miss Dan? We haven't worked together for over a month. So obviously you were doing the morning show, I was doing the evening show, and then we had our little holiday.
1 being not a lot, 10 being I miss you a lot.
Yeah, let's go with that. Yeah.
I'll say a 10.
I know.
I miss
you,
Dan.
2 weeks today. 2 weeks today, Ali, we're going to Spain together.
Well,
lovely.
Maybe I won't miss you so much then, Dan.
Oh, that'd be lovely.
Never know why you said 10.
One of the abiding memories of the last time we went to Spain together was after the game we all went to a club and you had like is it a pina colada bowl?
Yes, in a fish bowl. No, but now let's give it some context.
Pina colada?
Yeah, but hold on.
Hold on, the Shirley Temple kid.
No, wait. I just want to say, Maka was there.
Yeah.
And he was just like, you gotta have something, you having a beer, you having it, all right? And I said, well, fine, I'll have a pina colada, right? And he ordered the pina colada, and it was the biggest pina colada I've ever seen in my life. It was a fishbowl, and I'm walking with this whole thing the whole night while Dan is singing karaoke.
Brilliant, everyone's a winner. It's great. The best thing
What
was
did you sing, Dan? What did you sing, Dan? What did you sing?
I can't remember, a plethora of things. No, normal, yeah. Don't worry about that. That is it. Fantastic. It is great to be back. It really is. Thank you very much. ESPN FC returns tomorrow. Are you working tomorrow? What have I got on my lip?
Schmegma.
I'll still be there an hour. Are you on tomorrow, boys?
I am.
Oh, no, there we are.
What?
No.
You're already on?
Maybe Shaka's back. Hero of the day.
Wow.
At the Revs.
Hey.
You've got to ask him about that.
Wow.